All right, so we're really diving deep today into academic writing.
That's right.
And I'm kind of excited to go through all this with you because it seems like we've got a mountain of info here.
Yeah, we do.
But we're going to break it down.
Absolutely.
We're going to pull out the useful stuff and maybe uncover some surprises along the way.
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting is that these sources, they do lay out the steps, like a lot of how-to guides do.
Right.
But they go beyond that.
Yeah.
They really help you to understand, like, the why behind each step. It's like everyone knows you need an outline.
Right.
But why is it so crucial?
Yeah.
These sources really dig into that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up, choosing a topic.
Right.
I think most of us kind of know the basics.
Sure.
Like, it should be interesting. It should be relevant to the course.
Right.
But these sources bring up this idea of feasibility.
Yes.
And I found that really intriguing.
It's so crucial.
Yeah.
And often overlooked.
Yeah.
I remember early in my academic career, I got really captivated by this topic
Uh-huh.
that sounded groundbreaking.
Okay.
Turns out there was only like 3 obscure articles published on it.
Oh, no.
Talk about a research dead end.
Ouch. Yeah, I can see how that would set you back.
Big setback.
So these sources are basically saying, alongside passion, we need like a good dose of pragmatism
Exactly.
when picking our topic.
Yeah. It's about, asking yourself, is there enough material out there to support a substantial piece of writing?
Right.
Can I access the resources I need within the time frame?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about setting yourself up for success, not stress.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears to something I think we've all felt the pressure of.
Okay.
Timed writing.
Yeah.
Exams, in-class essays. Those moments when your brain feels like it's going into overdrive.
Absolutely.
And these sources offer some surprisingly practical strategies.
Yeah.
One that resonated with me was this idea of practicing timed writing regularly.
It seems so obvious.
Right.
But just like any skill,
Yeah.
you need to train those think fast and write clearly muscles.
So we shouldn't just cram in study sessions right before the exam.
That's right.
Okay.
It's about incorporating that timed writing practice into your routine.
Uh-huh.
So maybe you set a timer and you try to summarize a complex reading in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Or you practice outlining an argument in 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
These small, consistent efforts can really pay off when the pressure is on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't just show up on race day without any preparation.
Exactly. And, beyond just speed, it helps you to develop that mental agility, to recall information quickly and structure your thoughts under pressure.
Now, the sources also talk about the importance of reading the prompt carefully.
Yes.
Which seems super obvious, but I'll admit under exam pressure, I've definitely skimmed a prompt and missed crucial details.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But that's why this tip is so important, you know. It's about taking a breath even when the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
And really understanding what's being asked of you.
Right.
Are you supposed to analyze, compare, argue, or simply summarize?
Yeah.
That 1 minute spent carefully reading can save you from a lot of wasted effort later.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to feedback.
Okay.
I feel like everyone says get feedback, but these sources actually give you concrete steps for using it effectively.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting comments. It's about what you do with them.
Right.
And one of the key points here is looking for patterns, not just individual errors.
So instead of just fixing a comma here and a word choice there,
Right.
we're looking for bigger trends.
Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe you tend to wander off topic, or your conclusions always feel rushed.
Right.
Identifying these patterns can be much more valuable than just fixing those surface-level errors.
That's interesting because it makes feedback less about a specific paper and more about improving as a writer overall.
Excellent.
And I think that's what most of us are aiming for, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to get better grades, publish your work, or just feel more confident in your writing, this feedback loop is essential.
Okay, now let's talk about building a writing portfolio.
Okay?
The sources really break down what goes into a strong one.
Yes.
And it's more than just a stack of old papers.
Right. One element that I think is often overlooked is the reflective statement.
Okay.
This is where you can really demonstrate not just your writing skills, but your ability to reflect on your own growth as a writer.
So it's not just about showing what you've written, but also how you've evolved over time.
Exactly.
Okay.
What were some of the challenges you faced? What skills did you develop?
Right.
What were you still working on?
Yeah.
This self-awareness is incredibly valuable. And it goes beyond just academics.
It's like it shows you're not just capable of completing assignments, but you're actively thinking about how to improve.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a quality that's valuable in any field.
Absolutely. And of course, the feedback loop continues here.
Right.
The sources emphasize seeking feedback on your portfolio itself.
Okay.
Whether from professors, mentors, or peers.
Gotcha.
It's another chance to get those valuable outside perspectives.
All right. Now, for something I think we've all had a love-hate relationship with group projects.
Oh, yeah.
The sources actually flip the script and provide some really solid strategies for making them successful.
Yes.
And maybe even enjoyable.
Right. The key takeaway here is the importance of clearly defined roles.
Okay.
Imagine a sports team where no one knows their position or what plays to run.
Right.
It would be chaos.
Total chaos.
It's the same with group projects.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Good.
And on top of that, the sources highlight the importance of choosing the right collaborative tools.
Right. And the good news is many of these tools are things you're probably already using.
Okay.
Shared docs, project management apps,
Yeah.
communication platforms. It's about using technology to streamline that collaboration process.
Now, this next topic really surprised me. Visual design.
Yes.
I wouldn't have thought it would be so important in academic writing.
It's often overlooked,
Yeah.
but it's becoming increasingly relevant.
Okay.
Think about it. We live in a world of infographics
Right.
and visually driven content.
Yeah.
Good visual design isn't about being flashy. It's about clarity and engagement.
So even in a research paper, visuals can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Wow.
A well-designed chart or graph can make complex data so much easier to understand.
Right.
Even strategically placed images
Yeah.
can enhance your argument and make your work more memorable.
So it's not just about the words on the page anymore. It's about thinking about how the information is presented visually.
Exactly. And this is something that you can apply whether you're writing a paper, creating a presentation,
Yeah.
or even putting together a report for work.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and get a little more introspective.
Okay.
The sources encourage us to reflect on our own literacy journeys. They suggest starting with a self-assessment survey.
And what's fascinating is that the survey isn't just about gathering data.
Okay.
It's about prompting deeper reflection.
Uh-huh.
It asks, how do you learn best?
Right.
What are your strengths as a reader and writer? Where do you want to grow?
So it's almost like taking stock of your personal literacy toolkit.
Yeah.
Figuring out which tools you're already skilled at using and which ones need some sharpening.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that self-awareness is the first step towards becoming a more effective learner and communicator.
And for you, the listener, maybe this prompts some questions.
Yes.
What are your go-to learning strategies? What are your biggest challenges when it comes to reading or writing?
It's about recognizing that we're all on a journey with our literacy skills.
Right.
And there's always room for growth.
Absolutely. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into academic writing, let's leave you with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
If we think about our academic writing skills as a toolbox, what tools are we most comfortable using?
Right.
And which ones might need a little more practice?
That's a fantastic question to consider.
Yeah.
Are we masters of the outline?
Right.
Wielding it with precision to structure our thoughts?
Right.
Are we feedback ninjas, skillfully incorporating critiques to level up our writing? Or maybe we're still fumbling with that visual design wrench, trying to make our work both informative and visually appealing.
I think for me, I'm pretty solid with research and organization, but that visual design aspect, it's definitely something I want to explore more.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing how much emphasis the sources put on it.
And that's the beauty of this toolkit analogy.
Yeah.
It acknowledges that we all have different strengths and areas for growth.
Right.
The key is to be mindful of those areas and to continuously seek ways to expand our skill set.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect at everything,
Right.
but about being aware of our strengths and weaknesses and being open to learning new things.
Absolutely.
And speaking of new things, one of the sources had this really interesting section on the evolution of literacy.
Okay.
It wasn't just about academic writing in a vacuum, but about how our relationship with information is constantly changing.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
The way we consume and process information today is vastly different from how it was even a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're bombarded with content from all directions.
Oh, yeah.
Social media news outlets, online forums.
Yeah.
It's a constant influx of information.
Yeah.
And it requires a different set of skills to navigate effectively.
It's almost like we need to develop a new kind of literacy, like a digital literacy, to filter through all the noise and find what's truly valuable.
And that's where critical thinking becomes even more essential.
Yeah.
It's not just about absorbing information.
Right.
It's about questioning it, evaluating its credibility, and considering multiple perspectives.
So it's not just about writing well, it's about thinking well, too.
Exactly. It's about developing those higher-order thinking skills that allow you to analyze, synthesize, and evaluate information from a variety of sources.
Right.
And that's a skill that will serve you well far beyond the classroom.
And for you, the listener, maybe this sparks some questions about your own literacy habits.
Sure.
What are your go-to sources for information? How do you determine what's credible and what's not?
Yeah, these are important things to consider in today's information-saturated world.
For sure.
It's about taking ownership of your own learning.
Right.
And being intentional about the information you consume and the way you engage with it.
I think that's a great point to wrap up on.
Okay.
It's not just about mastering the technical aspects of academic writing,
Mm-hmm.
but about developing a critical and mindful approach to information in general.
Absolutely. It's about becoming a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Someone who's constantly seeking new knowledge.
Right.
Challenging their own assumptions. And embracing the ever-evolving landscape of information.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. From choosing a topic and mastering feedback to the power of visual design and even the evolving nature of literacy itself.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how all these elements kind of connect.
Yeah.
They're not just isolated skills, but they're all part of a larger framework for effective communication and learning.
And one thing that really stuck with me was that idea of the literacy toolkit.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great reminder that we all have different strengths and areas for growth.
And that's okay.
Right.
The important thing is to be aware of those areas. And to continuously look for opportunities to expand our skill set.
Right.
Maybe you're already a whiz at research and outlining, but visual design is something you want to explore further.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're great at crafting arguments.
Right.
But you need to work on incorporating feedback more effectively.
Right. The key takeaway is that academic writing, like any skill, can be learned and refined over time.
Absolutely.
It's not about being perfect right away, but about embracing that process of learning and growth.
And being open to new ideas and approaches.
Right.
The world of information is constantly evolving. So our approaches to learning and communication need to evolve too.
So as you head back out into that world of academic writing armed with these insights, remember this.
Yeah.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Embrace the challenges, the triumphs, and the moments of aha along the way.
Love it.
And never be afraid to ask questions, experiment with new techniques, and seek out feedback.
Because ultimately it's about becoming a more confident, more effective, and, dare I say, more joyful academic writer.
And that joy, that sense of accomplishment and mastery, that's what makes the journey truly rewarding.
So keep those minds curious, those pencils sharp, and those ideas flowing. Happy writing, everyone.